Imagine, if you will, a world of chaos and death, deprived of sanity and reasonable thought. 80 years ago, the Second World War left us in danger and terror. Today, we will be looking at how we believed absurdities and committed atrocities. Today, we will be looking at the road to war. Beginning in southern Europe, the country of Italy was ruled by fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. Benito ruled with a closed-tight iron fist, and is known as the father of fascism. He also popularized the Roman salute, which has since been associated with extreme right politics. Benito Mussolini paved the road for many other dictators to gain power. Specifically, the next axis to arise was the Third Reich of Germany, and it was led by the infamous dictator Adolf Hitler, which was very inspired by Benito Mussolini. Adolf was known for being tyrannical, yet sort of forgiving to the Germans, although we cannot say the same for the Jews and minorities of Germany. Many consider Hitler the embodiment of right extremism and hate. The third Axis power was known as Japan, nicknamed Land of the Rising Sun. This empire was led by Emperor Hihiro. The emperor was revered by the people of Japan, and many people often examine Hitler and Mussolini instead of Japan and the emperor. Though there is no clear explanation for this, we can guess that it's because Japan was not fascist and many people are unaware of the war crimes that they committed. Today, Japan still owes millions of dollars in war crime reparations that they never paid. Before the Second World War, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It was an agreement to not use pilotary advantages with each other for 10 years. During the rule of Adolf Hitler, Poland was a large and powerful state in Europe, or country, before the Second World War. Then Hitler acquired the help of the USSR to invade Poland. Then Poland lost all independence. While that was starting in Poland, the Blitzkriegs, which means lightning war, began in 1935, which was a strategy developed and engineered by Adolf Hitler. The main strategy of a blitzkrieg was to have a really short battle, extreme infantry, bombings, tanks, naval, anything like that. And in fact, during some of them, they would actually send refugees towards the enemy to slow them down, killing lots of people in the process. A good way to remember the blitzkrieg would be, think of it almost as guerrilla warfare, except all at once. In 1936, Hitler reaches out to Japan, and Japan, up until this point, would have never really agreed to be with the Axis. Of course, I'm talking about the Anti-Comintern Pact, which was mutual between Germany and Japan, only because they were both against communism. However, Japan would later revoke the pact out of anger, primarily leaving Germany and Japan not allies. However, they would become allies probably about a month afterwards. This pact mainly got revoked temporarily because Germany became allies with the USSR during the invasion of Poland. And the same year, Hitler moved his army into what's known as the Rhineland, despite the Treaty of Versailles forbidding it. This made his troops right by France and a bunch of other European countries. Other German countries really wanted to join Hitler's army. The main example of this is Austria. Austria joined the Third Reich, which is a country that is right next door to Germany. So, Austria ends up joining the Third Reich. Now, Hitler really wanted the country of Czechoslovakia, specifically for the Sudetenland. The Sudetenland was a Czechoslovakia-owned piece of land that had tons of ethnic Germans. In fact, during World War I and before World War I, I believe Germany actually owned a very small part of the Sudetenland. And there, because of Hitler wanting this, there was a lot of tension between Germany and Czechoslovakia, in which Hitler wanted to claim the Sudetenland for himself. And because of what's called a appeasement, which is essentially when a country is allowed to expand its territory as it pleases, the entirety of Europe got extremely terrified because Germany was about to take Czechoslovakia. So, in 1938, September 29th, only a few days later, Germany, Italy, and Great Britain and France signed the Munich Agreement. Czechoslovakia had to surrender its border regions and defenses to Nazi Germany. Which, by the way, during this meeting, where they all came together and discussed this, the leader of Czechoslovakia was not even invited, so he had no choice but to surrender to Nazi Germany. And Hitler had then finally claimed the Sudetenland. When the year 1939 begun, so did the phony war. Which you may be thinking to yourself, okay, what's the phony war? Why haven't I heard of it? Well, in simplicity, the phony war is what you and I now know as the Second World War. It was mainly known as the phony war because a lot of people viewed the oncoming events of this road to war as uneasy, and it really seemed as if the Allies were doing nothing, which in essence is pretty much what they were doing. I mean, especially with appeasement and everything else. And of course, this was no longer known as the phony war once the UK and France declared war upon Germany on September 3rd, all while Germany and Soviet forces invaded Poland, which begun the Second World War, which is the deadliest war known to mankind, with a total of 210 million casualties and millions more wounded. So, in essence, the road to war, as deadly as it is and as violent as it is, we can really learn a lot from it. We can learn how people rise to power, we can learn how to prevent things from happening, and more importantly, we can learn about how hate can be spread so easily throughout the world.